Call to order the Canton South Local Board of Education, or Canton Local Board of Education meeting, Tuesday, June 13th. I'd like to have a pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Cole is absent this evening. First, Mr. Hamilton.
Here.
Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mr. Kowalski.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
So we make motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the agenda? Not. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Knight.
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton.
Aye.
Mr. Kowalski.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes and waive the reading of minutes and accept them as written for the regular meeting, May 16th, 2023.
Second.
All right, any questions? Not. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Kowalski.
Aye.
Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Knight.
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton.
Aye.
All right. No school report.
No school report this evening, no.
All right. That brings us to hearing of the public. Is there any hearing of the public?
There's been none turned into me that I'm aware of, so.
All right. We'll move on to the approval of the invoices.
I make a motion to pay the bills. Second.
Are there any questions? Not. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Knight.
Aye.
Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Kowalski.
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton.
Aye.
All right, that brings us to the treasurer's report.
Okay, we've got several things tonight. First thing on the treasurer's report is item A, exhibit TA1, cash reconciliation for the month ended May 31st, 2023. Our deposit accounts ended with $2,082,106.62. Total investment $16,756,710.59, and a reconciled balance of $18,574,891.79. That's the first page. Pages 2 and 3 are a copy of our cash position report that shows the fund balances by fund. The bottom line, $18,574,891.79 matches the reconciliation. Page 4 is a listing of all of our operating investments. Maturities right now go through 2027. I just met with our investment advisor. We're looking to keep our investment ladder within 3 years, just because of where our cash situation is on the 5-year forecast. When you look at the potential for deficit spending, we don't want to be in a position where we have monies invested out 5 or 6 years beyond where we need them, and then have to call those back because we'll take a hit on those investments. So right now, honestly, the returns on investments, 2 years, you're getting a higher rate of return than you are a 10-year investment. It's crazy. The yield curve is inverted because of a recession that's looming or that we're in, depending on who you talk to. So we'll still get good interest rates, and as we're buying new investments, those are coming in about 3 or 4%. So we're replacing investments where we're earning 0.3% with ones that are around 4%. So, and then on the next page, to that point, if you look there on the monthly comparisons, our interest this year, we're almost at $200,000. We'll probably be about $230,000 for the year. Last year we only made $70,000, and we're projecting to make about $400,000, possibly $500,000 in investment income next year. So it's positive to have money to be able to invest now in agency securities and CDs. Page 4 there, I alluded to the fact that it's the monthly comparisons. Total receipts in the general fund this year are $26.7 million. Last year at this time we were at 26.2, close to a $500,000 increase. On the expense side, that's a different story. On the revenue side, that's a good thing. Expense side, we've spent $23.7 million. Last year at this time we were at 22.4. As we've talked about, inflationary increases, staff raises, things like that. All those things, the extra month of insurance we had to pay, all those things contributed to us just spending more money out of the general fund this year. So the ending cash in the general fund for May, $15,693,535, is up about close to $2 million where we were at this time last year, so it's still positive for us. That's the monthly financial report. I recommend that for approval. Item B, we have to set temporary appropriations for next fiscal year. It starts July 1st, 2023. Until we do the permanent appropriation resolution, we have to have spending authority. This gives us spending authority until the September meeting where we'll pass a permanent appropriation resolution. So those are listed there by fund. In total, it's $9,766,000. So I recommend we set temporary appropriations at the levels defined there, similar to what we've done in the past. Again, that's just gonna cover us for the first couple of, about 2.5 months of the next fiscal year. Item C, bus purchase resolution. This doesn't lock us into having to purchase a bus, but in order to participate, we have to pass the resolution. We weren't planning on buying a bus last year, but we did receive grant funds for half of a bus, so we went ahead and moved forward with the purchase of a bus. Even though we weren't planning on it, it was a good thing we participated in the program because we did end up ordering a bus. We still haven't received the bus. There's a backlog on, I'm not sure quite yet where we're gonna get that bus. But again, I think we should go ahead and pass the resolution. It doesn't lock us in, but if in fact we get another grant from the state, we should go ahead and buy another bus. I recommend approval of that resolution for bus purchase. Item D, appropriation modifications. This is for the current fiscal year ending June 30th. As I mentioned in my comments on Exhibit A, the financial reports, our general fund spending's higher. We need to increase appropriations in the general fund. This amendment's $500,000 increase to help cover a couple of things. Our supplies cost has increased, the purchase services costs have increased, and then also a portion of the restroom renovations we do at the high school are coming out of our safety and security money. That's a general fund allocation. So I recommend appropriation modification in the general fund, $500,000. The other funds listed there, 019, $44,715. Student activity funds, 200 funds, $5,000. Extracurricular activities, $35,000. That's fund 300. The special ed grant, this is to appropriate another allocation of ARP IBA, $56,855. That's an additional allocation we received this year that we didn't have originally. And then ARP IBA increased school, same thing, additional allocation, Fund 587, $7,253. So I recommend the appropriation modifications for this fiscal year as they're presented. And then the last item is a transfer of funds. This is from the general fund to the athletic fund, $90,000 recommended transfer to help cover our general athletic fund. As we mentioned with the general fund, our costs for supplies, referees, expenses, all those things we're seeing starting to increase. And if we're gonna offer the number of opportunities we have for our students, and we have a lot of sports for a school district our size, we're happy to provide those opportunities because all of those kids, it's an important part of their education. So if we're gonna continue to do that though, we have to be committed to helping out the athletic fund because there's just no way for them to generate the kind of revenue that it takes to cover referees and all the necessary supplies that go with it. So I recommend the transfer of $90,000 from the general fund to the athletic fund. Excuse me. And Mr. Dennison is here this evening. If you have any questions for him, he'd be happy to answer that, or if you want to catch him outside here to talk about kind of where he's at with his general athletic budget. He'd be happy to. That's all I have tonight. A3P.
Can I throw on there with you too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I know Jason said it, but I do believe, guys, this is something we're gonna have to be committed to looking at moving in the future, is that will probably be coming a lot of years, hopefully not 90,000, hopefully we go there, but yeah, I mean, the reality is right now, we wanna be committed to the academics, we wanna be committed to the arts, we wanna be committed to athletics. And they provide so many good things for our kids, and I do believe as we move, I'll just give you an example. When I was a head football coach, and I know we're talking 13 years ago, I could buy a good quality helmet for anywhere from $125 to $150. Coach Dennison, what's a football helmet cost you now?
$385.
that's just one sport because we know the expense that comes with football.
Football costs $100, basketball costs $85.
So I'll go back, I bought really good footballs, they were $56 back when I was, and I know we're talking 13 years ago, but.
No, this is the last 3 years.
Yep, that's what I mean.
They're $65 by 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's,
And the officials.
and then the officials are, I'll be nice, they're getting theirs now. We put $30,000 to pay for officials last year to Arbor. This year we had to put $40,000 to Arbor to pay for our officials. It's gone up, I think we spent, it was between $6,000 and $8,000 more on officials this year than last.
And then-
Cause and it's going up again.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
gonna go up.
we have 800, so roughly 400 to 450 home events, and if we're paying those officials on average, every year, the next 3 years, we're gonna go up $10 an official each event. And there's usually 2 to 5 officials on an event. So, and the league is not letting us raise our prices. We're not allowed to raise our prices.
All right, I still move on items A through E.
I'll second.
All right, any further questions? All right, if not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Kvesky?
Aye.
Mrs. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Knight?
Aye. All right, that brings us to communications.
so obviously as we move here to the summer, we don't have students for the month. Athletic Council, just so you guys are aware of a couple things that are happening. At the end of this month, June 29th, Coach Dennison's gonna run a meeting with all the youth sports programs and the head coaches, just to go over our new board policy that we've passed officially at the May board meeting. At the end of July, we're gonna go and, there's gonna be a meeting where we bring in not just all the head coaches, but every coach within our district, to go back over expectations, policies, all of those things, and make sure that we are all on the same page. I think this is gonna be something we continue to do year in and year out. You know, Coach Dennison has communications with the head coaches, works with them, but I think this is an opportunity for us as an administration to really lay out there what our expectations are and make sure that we're hitting all the key points that we want. So I think that's meeting scheduled for July 27th.
Seven.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, we're gonna get that out there. So just keeping you guys in the loop on that. Obviously, we don't have student reps to the board. Facilities, kind of one by one here, I'm taking you guys down to see the progress we're making on the restrooms here and the renovation at the high school. I think it's gonna be a game changer for our staff. Also, and I know Jeremy's sitting in here right now, but we do have our summer maintenance crew working away, and doing a lot of good things, making progress over at the building on Central that we use for batting cages, working on a timing shed for track, which is essential. They're doing projects and workforce over at West Campus, which we're gonna be using over there. I'm sure these guys could think more about it, but it's moving along, getting a lot of quality work done. I wanna credit, especially since he's not here, I wanna credit Chris Knoll on having the idea, because we're getting a lot of work done at a $20 an hour rate, that if we would have had to put out to other people, we wouldn't even come close to being able to touch this amount of work. So just appreciate kind of what's going on and what's happening there with that. Curriculum and programming, I know, Tricia met with the curriculum committee here tonight. Just lots of work, lots of things going on right now as far as looking at new curriculum, doing all those things. It's crazy, and I know the teachers in the room don't want to hear it, but we're gonna blink and, we're gonna be right back here in August, so it's coming up. And then, obviously Jason covered everything, finance and audit. As far as my superintendent's update, just thanking everybody again. It was an outstanding school year, a lot of work, a lot of hard work by our teachers, by our staff, everybody to make this possible. And, I think it's always been hard, it's harder than ever. I just went and listened to a speaker today over at Glen Oak. They had an impact coach, and he made the point of, when people talk about education now, they think back to their experiences of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's a different world. And I'm gonna tell you, it's a different world from 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But it's still a great world, and it's a great world of making a difference in kids' lives and helping people. And just a case in point on that, just how excited we are, and we're gonna have him at our July board meeting. He could not make it tonight, but Xavier Williams, winning the state championship down in Columbus. It was just an amazing night. Mr. Knight, I know, as a coach and the board president, were down there, and it was awesome. It was something that we should all be very, very proud of, and our third state champion in history. And then obviously graduation, got a little bit scared with the rain that started coming in, but it was really good. So just a lot of good stuff going on. Everybody's really busy, but it's been a very good end of the school year and kick off the summer.
Good, thank you. All right, now we come to.
Right back to me, okay. All right, so under resignations, Cheryl Costello is resigning from being the secretary at the middle school. Just really appreciate Cheryl, wonderful lady, but she is stepping back this time, wrote a very nice letter of resignation, just thankful for her time here at Canton Local. And obviously with much appreciation, I recommend that we do accept that. We move to employment here, and I will have them stand up for a second, but we'll go through. So with us here tonight, we have Riley James, who I think a lot of you know Riley. If you don't know Riley, Riley is a Canton Local graduate who right out of Walsh got hired to teach at Marlington last year to finish out the year. And we were able to steal Riley back home to be a Wildcat and to get him in. I think he's going to be on Coach Dennison's staff. And if I'm correct, Coach Conley's already got you working basketball here, getting ready for basketball as well. So welcome home, Riley. We'd like to recommend him to be hired as a teacher, as a title teacher as well. You're all good, buddy. Just want to make sure I got you. Also, Madeline Evans, we'd like to recommend her. She was a title teacher at Plain Local. Found out once I got a chance to meet her, her classroom was right next to my sister's room over there. She didn't quite put that together. My sister has a different last name, but we were able to put that there. The next two, Nicole Urban and Santino Carter, we'd like to recommend them coming back to us. They were already title teachers for us this year. But if you remember how titles work, you're automatically renewed or non-renewed at the end of the year when we know we're going to have the money. We offer back. We do have a couple more title positions that I think you'll see on either the July or August board meeting when we're coming in, so just to be prepared for that. Also, we would like to hire Mallory Davis back as one of our permanent subs over at Canton South Middle School. Michelle Bales has done summer custodial work for us in the past at the elementary. We'd like to hire her back again. We have offered her and she has got started, just because I have that right until the board meeting comes in. Michelle does really good work, works very hard. And again, it's just, you see it when you walk around here, it is such a big job to get these buildings ready. And if we can provide some additional support, we'd like to do that. Leah Reese, we'd like to hire as a third grade teacher at steps BA0, coming in over at Faircrest Elementary School. Right now, Leah knows she's stepping in on what we anticipate this being a one-year contract. So as we've had those communications with her, we're excited to bring her on board. Our next one is Sherry Bartlett. Sherry is coming to us from North Carolina. Been coming in with 18 years of teaching experience. She is letters trained and she has used CKLA down there, which is the same reading program that we had. Really excited to bring Sherry in. She was already met with us here and getting started. I'd like to recommend her. Katie Lynn Miller as a health teacher coming in at BA0 from, she did a little bit of work at Massillon last year, but this is, if you remember, we granted Jess Sharing the 1 year leave of absence. Right now, Katie Lynn knows that this could absolutely be a one-year job for her as well. We always want to be upfront for people when they come in. We'll see how things work out for Jess and what she's wanting to do as we move through the school year. Some other hires here. Jeremy Mackin, a science teacher. The reason why you're seeing the science teacher there is we did have the retirement over at Multi-County. Chris Albaugh is going to move over to that position. That's something he approached Dr. Rush and Mr. Moore about. We're going to move him over to Multi-County. That opened up a science position here at the high school. And Jeremy Mackin's coming in. He's been a teacher at Tusky Valley and down in out in Marion County outside of Mansfield. So excited to bring him here. Very good meeting with him. The next couple, I'll just go through. Ann Dearman as a 4-hour bus driver position. Craig Kendrick and Derek Saylor as teacher's assistants at Multi-County. As you see, they're paid through Title I-D funds. In the cafeteria, and this is the work here that we appreciate Ashley getting this to us. And again, we know how vital having our subs in there. And I know Mrs. Hookway can really tell you when someone's out, you need to have people ready to go. But Don Burnell, Melissa Smith, and Rochelle Obradovich as cafeteria subs to have them on the list ready to go. And then everything else is our athletic supplemental contracts, which is Exhibit B1, and our co-curricular supplemental contracts, which are Exhibit B2. And then Altman ambassadors, Kristen Smith and Lauren Saffer-Fees. That's a $500 stipend where they promote wellness and work with other schools through the Altman Foundation. And I recommend that we would hire all of them. Our donations, again, always grateful to the people that support our school. Don and Betty Jo Knoll, $5,000. Jim and Nancy Abbott, $5,000 for the turf fund. Nancy Snyder, donation to the Babick Scholarship of $500. Dr. Larry A. Woods, donation to the Dr. Rosemary Johnson Scholarship of $500. Teresa Persis, donation of $300 to Skills USA. An anonymous donor of $300 to the Six-Man Mentoring. The Cheryl Steinbach Investment Trust, donation to the Steinbach Music Trust of $5,500. That goes into being able to support our music program, particularly, I believe, the flute, and some extra tutoring to go in with that. And then the GPD Group Employee Foundation, we received a grant for our STEAM program of $19,715 as well. So grateful to all of them, and obviously recommend we accept them. Here with us tonight, and again, if you have any questions, Ashley's sitting out there, but we'd like to recommend that we go through the wellness and accept the wellness contract with Project School Nutrition LLC. That is Ashley's company. And guys, if we did, just so in case anybody asks, we put out the bid last year for this service. We went through and talked to a couple different people, but again selected the School Nutrition LLC as to be our service. Just to make sure you know, by doing it this way and contracting it, we are very lucky. We get someone with Ashley's experience, and it's saving the district anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 on what it would cost. So we're very, very fortunate to have someone with Ashley's knowledge, experience, and the way she runs things, and the team that she's put together here. And I'd like to recommend that we again approve them as our service provider for that. Very, very fortunate. In fact, Ashley's going to be the president of the state organization this year. So again, just very, very proud of the work she's done here in Canton Local and the team that she has there with Lisa and her managers. Item E, the meal charge and debt policy and meal policies. If you remember midway through last year, we came to you and asked you to change our meal policy. We are never, ever, ever denying a child food, ever. And currently, due to the work of Ashley and getting things put in there through the CCP, am I saying it right? Not CCP, college, right? Give me the direct certificate. CEP, I know I was off on my letter there with everything. We are still free lunch at the elementary and at the middle school. At the high school level, we do have to charge, and that's leading to people having some meal debt. So if you remember what we changed our policy to and what we're gonna ask you to approve again, if a kid comes through and doesn't have money, we're not taking their food away, especially if they're in debt. However, if they wanna buy that extra bag of chips with cash, we're not allowing them to buy extra until they've paid off the debt that they owe. So again, no one's ever having a meal taken away or anything like that. Ashley, am I explaining that 100%?
Yeah.
So.
It's just something that we're required by the USDA to have this in place. It's a protection not only for us, but for our families, and it's just to ensure that we're treating everyone dignity and respect when they're in line.
And that's what we're looking for here with everything. So again, and then as far as meal prices, you are not gonna see a meal price increase for our students at the high school. There is a little bit of a meal price for our adults that wanna buy meals. So Mr. Knoll's gonna have to deal with it whenever he wants to get out and buy a meal. It's gonna be a little bit more this year here at the high school, and really anywhere across the district. But again, I'd like to ask that we approve that as well. Use of facilities, this is exhibit F1. Coach Hall has again asked, they'd like to go together and run that youth tournament like we did last year over President's Day weekend. Very, very successful. Brought in a lot of money for our youth organizations and for our boys and girls basketball team. And I think they'd like to get that approved now so they can start advertising and try to even grow it and make it bigger. Great for our community, bringing people in here as well. And obviously, I'd like to recommend that we approve that. On item G, schoolhouse services, and I would like to say, if you look at the contract, they did just use the original that we made with them and updated numbers. So you'll see that the school buildings are incorrect, right? It's called our elementary school block, right, and all that. Doesn't change the fact of what we're doing with them. Through our agreement with Akron Children, we get the support of Akron Children's Hospital, and we have a STNA at the elementary school. We have a school nurse over at the middle school, and then as you know, we also have Lori Serafini, who is our own employee here at the high school. And as in today's day and age, it's just invaluable to have those health professionals here with the multitude of needs that are going on. But I'd like to recommend that we approve item G. Item H is our career technical agreement with Osnaburg, Perry, and Sandy Valley. And this is just for the work that we have and what we do every day with our career tech. We are the lead district for the career tech, so that stuff does run through us. And this is a 3-year contract agreement that would go through 2026. With that being said, really, it's not a lot changed from other years in the contract with anything. I'd like to recommend that we approve that, and that is the end of my report.
Thank you.
I can move that, we move on items A through H.
I'll second. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. With Cheryl Costello,
Yeah.
where are we sitting at as far as backfill?
Yep, so right now, honestly, and those are conversations we're having. I just had a conversation with Nate Bailey, who's the president of the union. With the numbers that we have coming through, I don't believe we're gonna post and do a full-time
Okay.
over there. We are gonna look at how we can maybe use existing staff or some additional staff
Mhm.
to fill in, because there definitely needs to be somebody else in that office in the morning when you have the attendance and everything going through. But as you look at our numbers, guys, and I could be off, and if I'm gonna be off, if I'm off by 10 to 15 kids here with everything. Within a couple of years, we're gonna be looking at a middle school of about 340 to 350 kids. And so as we look at that 5-year forecast and what Jason has talked about and everything here of, you know, I think we're good this year, good next year, this upcoming school year, but pretty soon those revenues, or expenses are gonna cross.
Mhm.
And not in the way that we want. These are the types of things we're gonna have to look at. Any person that leaves, we're gonna have to take a really hard look at how we can do that. So there may be conversation. I know in the past, prior to me being here, there was a paraprofessional that went in and helped out in the morning with attendance and did some things over there. So there's gonna be some conversations moving forward with all that. But we are working with, I had conversations with Nate earlier this week. He's checking into some things and gonna get back to me as well.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Kvesky?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
All right, that moves us down to informational items. Legislative, there is, right now in committee is the budget, Ohio budget, and in that budget is, the House had their budget version, it went to the Senate, now the Senate has it in committee where they are changing it dramatically. They are reducing over a 2-year period for state education, $542 million. And then they are increasing the voucher budget to increasing it by $300 million. The $542 million is being taken away from 80% of the students represented, and the $340 million is being given to 10% of the students in the state. So a little inequality there, but that looks like they're going to vote, they plan to vote on it the 15th. So we will see where that goes, but it looks like it's going that direction. Also in that bill is the changing of the Ohio Department of Education, where members are going to be appointed by the governor and not elected, and so probably a lot of those people are not going to be educators, are not going to have a whole lot of ideas, just personal thoughts on education versus educated ideas on education. So it's going to be an interesting time. So we'll see how that all goes. But public education is under attack right now. So we have to do our due diligence and continue to watch and speak out when we can.
So, the way the budget process works, for those that don't know, the governor has his executive budget that he presents, then that goes to the House of Representatives. They look at what the governor's proposed, and they'll make changes in their finance committee, and that goes to the full House for vote. That happened back in April, I believe, April or early May, and then that goes to the Senate, and then the Senate meets in their finance committee to make recommendations. That's the part where we're at now, and then it goes to the full Senate for a vote. And then once the Senate votes on it, the House and the Senate come together on the changes that were made between the proposal, and then that's where the final budget bill is presented for vote, and then the governor signs it. So the governor's proposal Did have some slight increases for public education. The House version was, they increased the inputs, so the way the funding formula works, they were using fiscal year 2018 data in the governor's proposal. So they're using average salaries for teachers and bus drivers and administrators from 2018, so 5-year-old data. The House updated that and it increased the public education funding by, I want to say about 600 or 700 million, just making that change. But then the Senate came back, reduced the House's proposal by the 500 million, and then they increased the voucher spending as well. So right now, there's a lot of politics going on. We think the Senate is using their leverage to try to get the vouchers passed, and in that they're trying, it's almost like a give and take, a negotiation process, so they're trying to pump up the spending here and drop it down here, so that way they know it's gonna meet in the middle a little bit. But pretty concerning that the voucher, the universal voucher legislation, so anybody up to 450% of poverty can get a voucher to send their kids somewhere else, and then even people that are above that level would be able to be eligible for a voucher at a reduced rate. It's a sliding scale, so even a person that is making $500,000 a year that can easily afford to send their kid to a private school is gonna be eligible to get state funding to help send their kid to a private school, so very concerning.
And one of the things I just want to say publicly on this, they passed this off as school choice. And I have to be very honest with you, I am not opposed to a parent having a choice. We want parents to have a choice. We understand that. I believe you can put our public schools up and we will compete with anybody. The problem and the difference is right now, those other schools, those private schools don't have to follow the same rules we do. They can accept a kid, collect the money, and if they're failing classes midway through the year, kick them out and send them back. If they go and are causing discipline, they can kick them out and send them back. That's not the way public education works, and that's not what the Constitution, if you look up the state of Ohio, says that it's for. And so that's our concern, is not that private schools shouldn't exist, not that parents should have a right, but if they're gonna give money to those private schools, make them play by the same rules that we are, because we'll compete with anybody under the same rules, our staff, our teachers, our kids. I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell you this, you're not gonna get a better meal served than what you get from our staff here. You're not gonna get better programs at a price than what you're getting here, you're just not. And so it really is with all that. And with this being said, just so everybody knows as well, I'm gonna just kinda, so the auditor of state sent every school district in the state of Ohio a request or a survey to fill out asking if they are using taxpayer dollars to fund the lawsuit against school vouchers. We have worked with and talked with the ESC, we've talked with, we've sought advice, and that survey is not something we are legally required to fill out. And we did not. They then sent us a follow-up survey, and we did not. In fact, we responded with a letter from not only the Stark County ESC board attorney, but also with Deb Dawson, who is the statutory lawyer for all local schools. Like we are Canton local, you think of Plain local, Lake local, so all the schools that are local, she is the attorney for all of them by statute. She works out of the prosecutor's office. Sent a letter basically saying, send us a public records request and we will provide you all documents, but we are not just answering this survey, which we believe is an intimidation tactic coming from the legislatures and now down to the auditor's office. So just in case you know, if we receive a proper public records request, we will comply immediately, we will send it immediately. We do, just so everybody knows, at our January board meeting, we agree to be a part of the Ohio Coalition for Adequacy and Equity, which is, we contribute $2 per student enrolled in Canton local schools. That does go to contribute to fighting against the vouchers, because we believe that money that is set aside for public education should stay for public education and for schools that have to follow the same rules. So just to be very clear, if anybody asks or anybody knows, that's what we're involved in. If we receive an official public records request, we will absolutely turn over anything. Thing is, they don't even need to do this. You can find all that information publicly online. There's nothing we're hiding. We have board approved back in March of 2021. We have the resolution where we board approved it was okay to do this, and and we agree to join every year in that January board meeting. So just in case anybody asks, or everybody in the community has questions, you know what's going on.
Thank you. All right, are there any questions to the agenda items or board action? If you can also email them to these addresses. Okay. Other business?
So just before I do, Brian, congratulations, buddy, officially, now that you've officially been hired by the board. Our bullying and harassment update, and those numbers, we're gonna get them up on the board. We're required twice a year to present these to you. And when you look through this numbers here with everything, guys, here's what I wanna make sure you know. And in case you get asked, or anybody says, well, wait a second, I know. In order for it to be official bullying and harassment, it does have to meet the definition. And sometimes people confuse someone being mean as bullying. There has to be an imbalance of power. There has to be that it was one-sided, and it was not a conflict between the two of us. It has to be sometimes, unless it was so severe, that it's multiple times that it's happening. So I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, these are the only incidents of someone being mean to each other, or that's not the case at all. These are the ones that meet the legal definition of bullying and harassment that get reported on there, and our building principals fill this out for us and go from there, okay? So we're required to present this to the board, and it will be up on our website as well. So we do this in December, and we do this in June each year.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, executive session.
Yeah, I do have a request, and obviously you guys have to vote on this to be able to go in, but I have a request to go to executive session to discuss personnel. But I don't believe there'll be any action taken after that. There'll be no need for action taken.
All right.
I so move we go into executive session.
I'll second.
All right, call roll please.
Mrs. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Hamilton?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
All right, call us back into session.
So move we adjourn.
Second.
Call the roll please.
Mr. Kvesky?
Aye.
Mrs. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Knight?
Aye.